It's all gone. It's become seabed now. Totally useless to us. Some of the land got divided up, and we can't do anything with it now. It's all become seabed. Might as well just hand it over to the sea god. It's useless. We'll never get it back.
The year was 1986. Typhoon Wayne brought torrential rain and strong winds. When the ocean waters came crashing onto land, it submerged hectares of green farmland. The seawater did not recede after the typhoon, and farmland became wasteland. This farmer could only feel hopelessness looking at his 100 hectares of nothing. But something changed when the migratory birds landed. They brought a trace of life to the wetlands. This village, called Cheng Long, is located in the southwestern corner of the Yunnan County's Kouhu Township. It's named after the international star Jackie Chan's Chinese name, but it used to have an even more interesting name.
This place was called Guryeogang, Cow Urine Harbor. When I was growing up, people said that their cows would stop to pee here on the way home. So the name stuck. It wasn't until Taiwan's retrocession that it was renamed Cheng Long.
The Chenglong wetlands are located in the village. Before they were reclaimed for Mother Nature by Typhoon Wayne, the area was a fertile farmland for villagers.
This was all farmland. We used to grow rice, sugarcane, and peanuts. We could harvest dozens of litters of peanuts. One paddy field could yield several kilograms of rice.
Wayne broke several local records for typhoons. It affected Taiwan directly or indirectly for half a month. Its outermost fringes battered Taiwan 3 separate times, and it even made landfall twice. The storm caused unprecedented damages in central Taiwan. Even after all these years, villagers are still haunted by the memories.
We were scared when the typhoon brought lots of rain. We thought everything would be swept away. Even the fish were running away scared. As I recall, in 70 years of typhoons here, Typhoon Wayne was the worst. I lost about 2 or 3 million Taiwan dollars of property that year. Around 3 million from the fish farms alone. I lived in a one-story cottage. When it flooded, we could just reach out and catch shrimp while sitting in bed. I mean it. Before Typhoon Wayne, we were breeding tiger shrimp. When the flood came, we could just catch tiger shrimp from the bed using nets. It's true.
In just one night, the power of Typhoon Wayne permanently submerged over 100 hectares of rich farmland. Flooding is regular in Chenglong village because it's located on low-lying land. To deal with the flooding, many of the villagers have elevated their homes with large cement bases.
I built my house about 5 or 6 feet above ground. To get into the house, we have to climb some stairs. I really built it higher.
Even the village temple was elevated, so the gods, too, are safe from floodwaters. This is by no means a recent problem for the villagers. Back in 1845, Kohu Township had the worst flood in Taiwan's history. Historic records show the flood left so many dead that people didn't know how to handle all the corpses. The flood and the subsequent plague that broke out brought the number of deaths into the tens of thousands. Locals ended up digging mass grave mounds for all of the bodies, creating a disheartening landmark. Experts say that the flooding was caused by a typhoon that took a particularly destructive path through Taiwan, one that was very similar to the path later taken by Typhoon Wayne. The flood of 1845 left its own stories of destruction and heroism.
Dan Ning-hyung, his name is Hero. Maybe he was meant to be a hero from birth. He sacrificed himself during the flooding. Why did he do it? He was a good son. He saw the weather was turning bad and that a flood was coming, so he headed home to find his mother. But before he got there, the flooding had already started. He saw 8 children stranded on a huge wooden chest calling for help, so he risked his own life in order to save those children. As you know, the flood was huge. It was the biggest in the island's history. It was also the most deadly. So Dan sacrificed his own life, and afterwards people wanted to remember his heroism. So they built a gold statue in his image. It's the one in the temple with 8 kids on his back. That's the story of how Dan Ning-hyung fought back against the rising waters.
In recognition of Dan's heroic act, sculptures of the 8 children were added onto a statue's back, creating a person with a total of 9 heads and 18 hands. As for the victims of the flood, villagers worked together to make cylinder-like structures for ceremonial use as a way to send the spirits of the deceased up to heaven.
Each cylinder has 3 different colors on it, which represent the upper, middle, and lower worlds. The lower level is the water world. We use water lanterns to lead the spirits from the lower level to the middle level, which is the underworld. There, Taoism and Buddhism are practiced to help the dead achieve immortality. Then they are led up to the upper level called heaven. That's why the ceremony is conducted in 3 stages, to lead the dead from the water world to heaven.
Every year, when the lunar calendar reaches the 8th day of the 6th lunar month, the young people who left for big cities come back to Kohu County to take part in the annual ceremony to lead those spirits to heaven. As the bugles and cymbals sound, villagers circle the cylinders, hoping that their deceased relatives will accept their offerings while passing between the worlds. Some villagers claim possession by the spirits, which causes them to jump around erratically and hit the cylinders against the ground excitedly. This is the most mystical part of the ceremony.
Living people get possessed by the spirits. It's because the flood came so suddenly. It was so sudden that the victims did not get to finish whatever they were doing before they died. So they cast their spirits onto other people and speak through the possessed. Each one explains how he or she died and the tasks he or she did not get to finish. This is the meaning behind the whole process.
After finishing turning the cylinders, the Taoist priests perform a ritual to send the spirits away. The villagers then gather all the cylinders and paper money in a central location and burn them for the deceased. Through the flames, villagers can be seen tossing paper money into the air while offering their blessings. They pray that the deceased can continue to guard the land and help protect them from any future floods. Floods have shaped a special kind of faith among villagers. Through destruction, Typhoon Wayne brought the village a gift of wetlands. The area comes alive every year with the arrival of migratory birds. According to a Forestry Bureau evaluation, the Chenglong wetlands have the potential to become a center for recreation and ecological restoration. That's because the submerged farmlands remain intact, and the area is adjacent to the Aogu wetlands of Jiayi County. Villagers now receive a subsidy from the government, which hopes to keep the land fallow to prevent it from sinking. That's key to converting the wetlands into an ecological park. More and more birds come to Chenglong with every passing winter, but the human residents were at first less than enthusiastic about the wetlands sitting at their front door. Though beautiful and diverse, the wetlands brought little benefit to their quality of life. To help the villagers get a new perspective on their ecological treasure, the Forestry Bureau invited the Guangsu Educational Foundation to explain the ecological importance of wetlands.
Where we are now is we're helping the local people connect emotionally to the wetlands in front of them. We want them to have faith in their homeland again. I think this is the most important task at hand. That's the first stage. We have actually already started the second stage, which includes schools teaching about marine ecosystems and the unique features of the local environment. We teach the children the basics about the Chenglong wetlands, like all the different kinds of birds, fish, and other organisms here.
Those efforts have helped locals discover the beauty of their village, and it's even inspired them to involve themselves in preservation work. Together, local residents and children took the time to help build this viewing pavilion. The hardships of farming and fishing and few job opportunities have caused many young people to leave the village for bigger cities. Young couples are often left with no choice but leaving school children with grandparents. Most of the people here today are the elderly and their young grandchildren.
Because of our socioeconomic conditions, the community of Chenglong fits the definition of a priority area. Around 41% of the population lives in families with a foreign spouse or with only one parent, or where children are brought up by their grandparents. That number is quite high, so the population outflow here is typical of a rural village. Young, able-bodied people leave to find work. We're left with the older generation of grandparents. The children here may end up facing cultural and educational differences from children in urban areas.
Local children have had a helping hand from the Guangsu Foundation, which has committed itself to after-school tutoring and events for students of Chenglong Elementary. The foundation came and explained the wetlands to us. I have children in school right now, and they have summer camps every year. I always make sure my kids go. After school, students become explorers. Foundation workers take them on trips into nature to learn about it up close, and they also learn about their village. After these excursions, children share what they've learned with everyone else to promote appreciation of the village's environment. Many people think our job is about ecological conservation, Actually, our focus is on education. So they think our goal is preserving the wetlands. But in reality, we're educating people about wetlands so that they can view them in a new light. So we have 3 generation classes, one for grandparents, one for parents, one for children. That's to give them a new perspective about wetlands. Then they go and give back to the community by sharing that knowledge. So this is actually a program for community learning. As the environment improved, many birds start migrating to Chenglong come wintertime. There are so many of them now that it can only be described as a festive atmosphere. And every family of birds acts like it owns the wetlands. Northern pintails, northern shovelers, and Eurasian widgeons of the duck family hoard one big area where they happily go about their days. The ducks and geese continue waddling about nonchalantly, even when they discover humans hovering over them with cameras. You can often see them swaggering their tails as they slowly swim away. It seems the Chenglong wetlands have become a premier venue for avian partygoers. Black-headed gulls rushed over in time to join the party. The gulls have taken fish farms next to the wetlands as their homes, a great place for resting and finding food. There are many species of gulls. The black-headed gulls are easy to recognize because of the black spots on their faces. They are excellent fishers and often put on a show by soaring into the sky before turning around and darting into the waters. They don't get a catch every time, but their flawless motion always puts people in a stupendous daze. Workers from the Guangzhou Educational Foundation also take children to decorate birdhouses next to the wetlands after class, bringing a different kind of life to the marshes. That's a black-faced spoonbill. No, I don't know that one.
What's this bird? What's that bird in your hand?
A gosling? There are many small farms by the wetlands, but they are abandoned as the influx of seawater has left them unsuited for farming. Experts invited by the foundation have assessed the area in 2010, however, and they've come up with a plan for soil regeneration plan that uses sesbania to nourish the soil. Sesbania flourishes in Taiwan soil, and it can help in reviving wasteland. Another plan uses thick soil and compost. A layer of organic matter is placed on top of salinized soil to improve the nutrient content of the soil, which will eventually allow the farmland to be used for growing crops again. Thanks to everyone's efforts, the unusable land now has sprouts growing on it. Soon, this one-time wasteland will again be filled with crops, and since plants attract insects, more birds will be coming to the wetlands for food. Another bird here is the black-winged stilt. This bird has a white body with black spots and long pink legs. In fact, it stands rather majestic, wearing what looks like a black and white tuxedo. Once spring passes, ducks and geese start flying north to breed. The gentlemen-like black-winged stilts, however, stay here in the Chenglong wetlands to hunt for food in pairs and reproduce. Their mating period falls between March and May every year. During that time, male birds perform their courtship rituals, dancing around females. After mating, they cuddle cheek to cheek for some quality time. Black-winged stilts typically live in groups. This means that when mating season comes, males must compete with one another, sometimes even fighting for mates. The birds can get rowdy when gathered together. But on land, people busy themselves working quietly on beautiful works of art. Each May, the Forestry Bureau and the Kwansu host the International Environmental Art Project, which brings local and international artists together to create artwork from local resources. Many artists from abroad actively participate in the event by submitting their works. Faced with so many talented individuals, judges often have a hard time deciding which entries should be chosen as Chenglong's environmental art.
I think number 2 could look more like how the birds here perch. But I'm more concerned about its sturdiness.
A welcome party is held to get artists and local residents to get to know each other. In the courtyard in front of Anlong Temple, the artists introduce their artistic creations, while the locals bring their own culinary creations to share with everyone. The feast is a happy meeting between East and West. Since they have to use local materials and techniques, some artists may run into difficulties in their projects. To help out, the foundation brings in local experts to show how things are done.
One thing when you cut bamboo, every movement must be completed in 2 steps.
While the artists are busy working away, volunteers from the village and students from the elementary school prepare materials. For many of the children, this is a rare opportunity to meet with foreigners, learning about the world, and of course, practice their English. This artist from Chile also teaches the children some Spanish. This is a brand new cultural experience for them.
Gracias. Gracias. Gracias.
Once the art has been finished, the next challenge is moving the large pieces of art to the wetlands. This is where the village's strongest and most able-bodied residents become an invaluable part of the decoration project. After the sweat and hard work of creating and moving the artwork, artists and residents alike can enjoy a beautiful background to show it off. The pristine blue sky or colorful sunset of the wetlands on a clear day makes Chenglong a place of both natural and artistic beauty. Even as the sun shines down on summer days, the black-winged stilts gather around the art. Here they begin to build nests. The birds become very territorial during their breeding season. Any bird or human caught trespassing is likely to meet with a warning in the form of a loud squeal and angry charge. The incubation period lasts about 2 weeks, during which the male and female birds take turn warming eggs. On hot days, eggs can easily burst due to the intense heat if the bird leaves its nest, making this a very difficult job for both parents. A newborn black-winged stilt is like a ball of dirty fur. Its body too big and wings too small, the baby bird walks clumsily. It can easily fall head first, leaving its legs and wings up in the air. Because of the inborn curiosity, baby birds follow their mother when she hunts. Parents protect their babies by taking them under a wing whenever danger appears. After just a few weeks, you can see the bird's characteristic long legs, even though its feathers have not grown out yet. It's always endearing to see parent and child on a stroll. But very soon, the little bird will be an adult, and it will go off to live a free, happy life in the wetlands. After years of hard work, the villagers have come to understand the work needed to preserve the wetland ecology. Each winter brings more species to Chenglong, thanks to the abundance of fish and crabs. As of 2012, the wetlands were home to over 1,000 different birds. Birds are nature's indicator of a healthy, friendly environment. After a year of thorough observation, villagers discovered that black-winged stilts have chosen Chenglong as their home throughout all 4 seasons of the year, proof that efforts to improve the environment have shown results. The environment of the wetlands and the hearts of the residents have changed thanks to everyone's hard work. And the community's newest residents, the black-winged stilts, have given their efforts a passing grade.